this Fat Tuesday. That's a live shot of Bourbon Street. Boy, I'll tell you, about an hour ago, that place was just filled with garbage on the ground. They've done a nice job cleaning it up over the past 45 minutes or so. But, whew.
I'm impressed that you went down there this weekend and set that camera up and got everything ready for that shot.
I know,
just for me today.
Just for that.
Yeah.
We actually stayed at a place last week that was a French New Orleans themed resort. Yeah, it was great. And they were gearing up. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
So big celebration down there. Have you ever take part in that?
No, I never have.
Yeah. I've talked to several people who've been down, and it's sort of mixed. Some people say it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of like the area right there.
Yeah.
But there's things to explore, but that's really it. And then others say it's like really smelly and dirty, and I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure there's places that are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
How's it going?
Good, and you?
Joe Tech with us here this morning.
Is that
what
we're doing here?
Yeah.
Got to get me back on track here.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We've missed a lot going on in the world.
A little bit. Yeah.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. Apple had an announcement.
Did they?
Yeah. And that's about how exciting it was.
Okay.
That you didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I sort of unplugged last week.
Good.
Except for, big events that maybe took place last Friday, or whenever that was with Trump and Zelensky.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Yeah.
So what was Apple?
So Apple announced they thought it was going to be the next iPhone SE. They didn't call it the SE. It's the iPhone 16e. Yeah, that's about all you need to know about that. It was I don't know. You can't really call it a mid-tier phone because it's only $100 cheaper than the regular iPhone. So I don't really know what it is or why it's there.
Huh.
So
did they tout it as a cheaper phone?
Not really, but kind of. Yeah.
So you might as well just pay the extra little bit and get what, I mean, if there's a big difference.
Or if you want a real discount, get last year's regular phone. I'm really confused by why it's even there.
Okay.
And on top of it, so Mobile World Congress started yesterday. So this is the one that's, I think it's held in Barcelona. It's really a worldwide conference, so you get a lot of companies that we don't typically see here. But Samsung's there. They announced their true mid-tier phones. Their Galaxy A series phones, and they're like $300, $400, or $500 depending on which one you want. And it's like, oh, those are a true mid-tier phone. Like, I really don't understand why
Well, here it says iPhone 16e, you can get like the 128 gigabyte, the base model for $599.
Yeah.
So how much is the
$699? Isn't $699 the base iPhone?
I don't know.
128 gigs.
Here's the first line. Apple's new budget-friendly smartphone is now available for online and in-store purchases. Now this isn't Apple saying this. This is
it's
a tech writer saying.
I don't.
This. In your mind, Joe, what should that mid-tier price range be?
Well, it should be somewhere in the range of middle of the road. So if the regular iPhone is $700, which I think it is, it might have gone up to $750, but I think it's still $700. You should be in the $500 range. $450, $500, somewhere in there.
What's the cheapest phone you can get? Do you know?
Oh, you can get them down a couple $100. They're not real great. I mean, I think you can get them cheaper than that.
For somebody who's like, I don't want any of this. I just want to be able to call somebody.
There have been makers that have brought back flip phones because there's enough people that demand flip phones.
Yeah.
So there are some flip phones you can get out there for, $75, $100.
Is that just basically talk and text, or just talk? Or
I believe they're talk and text. I haven't really looked into it. So
right. Yeah. You're not going to be sending fancy emojis and getting great pictures.
But there are even some flip phones that do have some internet capabilities. So they, it's not like the old school ones. There is actually a decent screen. Some of them you can actually even do some web-based things on them.
Do you remember that time period where people would have two phones, like a BlackBerry for work and just typing emails and texts, and then
a flip phone for the razors? Back when the razors were the thing, yeah,
those are slick.
It was a weird time.
I can't get rid of my BlackBerry. I use it for work.
Use it for work. I got to send that email. Yeah. Now look at us. Luke.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. It was a simpler time back then. when you
had two phones?
When you had two phones, and if you wanted to text on your flip phone, you had to push the 7 button 4 times.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't even think kids understand that that's why we came out with, that's why they have LOL, is because we didn't want to have to type out full words. So we created these shorthand because it was a pain in the butt to text, to type out whole words when you had to push a button 3 times and then wait.
Yeah.
They used to have contests, like legit contests to see who could type the fastest with those type of phones. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But anyway, yes, so that was a big announcement that you missed, was the iPhone 16e. Really confusing. But like I said, Mobile World Congress is going on, so if you want a Android mid-tier from Samsung, they announced the Galaxy A series. The pull it up here because it's confusing. The A36, let's see here. All of the A series are priced below $500. The Galaxy A56, A36, and A26, they're all 5G phones, $300, $400, and $500. So depending on what kind of display quality, camera, or processor you want. Some other cool things out of Mobile World Congress: Xiaomi, the Chinese company, released wireless earbuds that connect via Wi-Fi instead of Bluetooth. So the problem with Bluetooth, and there's actually, is it Samsung that's trying to use a different type of pairing as well. Bluetooth isn't the greatest, and if you've used Bluetooth, sometimes it drops out and blips and whatnot. Wi-Fi would be a much more stable pairing. Also, you can actually do lossless audio. So if you really like good sounding audio, you can get 24-bit lossless audio playback, which you can't get through Bluetooth.
Really?
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. And again, you're probably not going to see Xiaomi's in stores, around here, but it's going to push other makers to think about that and consider that. Like I said, Samsung's working on that as well. A company I never heard of, Techno, released a phone that's super, super thin, like 5.75 millimeters thin, which is, they're showing a picture of it. It's like half the size of what you're normally used to. Again, Xiaomi, they showed off a MagSafe type. It's not a MagSafe, but it's for their phones. But it's a camera lens accessory that would attach to the phone and change the camera on your phone so that if you want a more powerful phone or a camera, but you still want to use your phone processor, you can do that. Lenovo, who is always up for cool laptop things,
Yeah.
put a solar panel on the back of their laptop. So when you close your laptop, set it out in the sun, it'll gain a little bit of charge.
Really?
Yeah.
Will it work while you're using it or no?
It didn't say, the article I read didn't say if it'll work while you're using it. And it may. It's probably not going to be at a great angle. So unless you stick a mirror behind your to bounce the rays off of, it's probably not going to work as great, but it probably would. So they're pretty neat things at a Mobile World Congress.
Is it still, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I still find it weird to be walking. And I was at a place last week with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I see, people walking alone, but talking.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, who are they? Oh, yeah.
It still takes a second.
Yeah.
I remember working on job sites, when there's, a bunch of people bustling around, painters going this way and tile setters going that way and project managers walking around, and this one flooring project manager just talking to herself, and it was early days of, okay. And she had long hair, so it covered up her ears. Just like, what in the world is she doing?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, she's talking on the phone. So yeah, it still takes me aback a little bit. Like, oh yeah, they're probably talking on the phone, or at this point talking to their AI agent. They might be, because a lot of the earbuds you can tap on it and, hey, give me directions to such and such a place.
Wow.
And they can connect with your phone and pull up the directions. So, yeah, it still takes me aback when I see it too.
Okay. So I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one.
You're watching The Morning Drill on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Joe Tech with us here this morning. A lot going on in technology from, you mentioned a couple phones. I see Skype's going away.
I was going to, announce the death of a dearly beloved family member. The old Skype is no more. As you also have to throw an asterisk on that too, as a standalone program, essentially, because Microsoft essentially moved everything that was good about Skype into Teams. So they wanted to brand it with their stuff. So if you're using Microsoft and want to communicate with other people through video conferencing, you use Microsoft Teams now. And Skype, I feel kind of bad for Skype. Like, they were video conferencing way before Zoom.
Yeah.
And the pandemic came, and, there were a lot of people that were like, oh, we'll just use Skype. And all of a sudden, this Zoom came out of nowhere, and it's like everybody's just, and it quickly became the Kleenex of video conferencing. Well, let's just Zoom. Like, oh, okay, what do you want to use? Like, well, we'll just use Zoom. Okay, all right, because there's other things out there, and if you weren't on an iPhone FaceTime, and there was a time where you were using Skype, that was it. Like, it was so good that podcasters who weren't even in the same zip code or time zone would create podcasts together over Skype. And so you would have a pair of guys talking, but they were just on Skype together. So it was really way ahead of its time.
Fair to say Microsoft just doesn't know how to market themselves? Because, I mean, you're right. Skype's been around forever. You would think that would have been like, oh, yeah, everybody knows Skype. We'll use that.
Yes.
You've mentioned over the years, how you like the Surface tablet. Surface tablet's great for certain business aspects, right?
Yeah.
But you just don't hear a lot of...
You don't... It's when people talk about... Again, it's the Kleenexification of things. There are a lot of people that call iPad or tablets iPads. They mean it in the generic term of a tablet, but the iPads are so ubiquitous that a lot of people just refer to them to tablets as iPads. and so yes, Surface tablets are not as nearly as well known as they should be for as good a quality as they are. To some extent, I think it's because of what they are. iPads are, to be frank, kind of a boring product. You don't see that with products that are exciting. It's a good product and it's a useful product, but it's not something. After the first couple years, people don't get excited about tablets. They know what they use them for. They are productive. They use them, but they're not an exciting product. That I got to go out and get the new phone, because I use that all the time, and I have almost a personal relationship with my phone. It's like a car.
Yeah.
But these and video conferencing apps are kind of the same way. They're not an exciting product. There are ones that are more useful than others, but it's not like I'm excited to go on this video conference for this meeting. I'm excited to use Zoom or whatever. So it's easy for it to kind of fall out of and just become a placeholder. Now, I think Microsoft is pivoting fairly well into using Teams, and they've integrated that very nicely into Outlook, which, again, for business people, a lot of people use Outlook for their email, and to now be able to schedule a meeting on Outlook, which I already do, and now all of a sudden I can just quickly add it to make it a Teams meeting, and there's an invite link and built in and everything. It's really become, they've pivoted very nicely and used all of Skype's best assets to kind of build up their Teams product. I think they're doing an okay job with it.
I think my biggest issue I have with Microsoft is I probably have about 9 Skype accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Because for some reason, if I don't remember a password for something and I try to recover it, Microsoft makes it nearly impossible to recover a password. I have no idea how any of the background stuff works with Microsoft. I know in the past I've been able to log into an account and see, okay, what am I paying for? Or what am I not paying for?
Yeah.
What products do I have? What, apps am I... They make it so complicated.
Yes.
That it's just easier to say, okay, I'll just have a new account for Skype or whatever.
Yep.
I just, to me, that turns me off from those products.
There's so much there that I think they would be better to just streamline their products and just give people 1 or 2 things and then let them organically find the other products and build them in, because yes, it's just way too confusing.
Now, here, the flip side of that, though, is sometimes Apple, I think, if I'm trying to separate something, say like my son, and like I want him to have his own thing.
Yes.
I struggle with trying to figure out how to set that up. Mm-hmm. Because it's under me. So I like that I have control, but if I want to separate, I know I can.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I called somebody, they'd walk me through that. But it's sort of the opposite issue I have with Microsoft.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. There's no perfect solution out there. And I think once a lot of people realize that, it's kind of freeing. Like, okay, you're just going to deal with whatever is best for you at the time. And you might have to adjust and switch. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't
know. One other piece. I know we're getting close to being low on time here. I know you're a big space guy. You want to go to Mars with Elon Musk.
I know what you're going to talk about, so we'll get into that.
Okay. Do you?
Yeah, landing on the moon.
Landing on the moon, the lunar lander for the first time ever, a commercial spacecraft that's not NASA has landed. So it's Blue Ghost was the spacecraft. Firefly Aerospace was the American firm out of Texas. 3:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it landed on the moon.
Wow.
So a Japanese company tried to land one and it crashed. And I think there's a little bit of a caveat with this because I think there was another company that landed on the moon, but it died immediately thereafter. So it landed, but they couldn't communicate with it. So it doesn't get the official status.
I know there's a lot of people that probably say it's a waste of money to go back to the moon. I would like to see it happen. And the fact that it seems like it's so complicated when we did it, in the late 60s is...
It was only like a 3.5 year window where we were sending spacecraft up and landing on the moon. That's all. It seems like it should, to us who, we were after it and, we get all the history. Like, it seems like it should have been a longer time period, but it was like 10 years of development and then 3 years of going and landing on the moon. That was it.
Wow.
It was incredibly huge project, and that's probably why, is because it took an awful lot of resources to do that in such a short amount of time that they were like, we need a break.
Well, I realize the pressure isn't there to go there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We got all these kids that aren't seeing this stuff.
Yeah.
We're afraid to explore. We're afraid to try. I'm not. I shouldn't say that because we are sending things to Mars and other planets, and we're doing some cool things. But man, we just need to do something, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, great seeing you.
Hey, good to see you too.
Man waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows